everyone, fancy seeing you here. I'm out on the River Medway today. It's a beautiful day, the tide is on the way in and I've been having a great time soaking up the wildlife and the nature and just generally being outside in the fresh air. It's been absolutely wonderful. But I'm not going to talk to you about River Medway finds. I'm going to talk to you about my top 6 River Thames finds. Often people ask me, what's your favourite find? And it's so hard to pinpoint my favourite finds. I've got so many of them, but I've managed today to whittle it down to 6. Now, my favourite finds tend to change over time, but these finds are quite special. You know, they have nice stories behind them, and so I'm going to start with number 6. Just seen a button down here. Here he is. And let's see what's on it. I can make out a crown. It's probably something military, but I can't actually read what's on there. I'll have to wash it off and look later. I'll give it a rub on my jeans and see if that makes it any easier. I still can't make it out, so I'll have to take it home and look through the magnifying glass. Now, as you know, I find a lot of buttons. They are a relatively common find in the Thames, but what is special about this one is that I don't think that any others of this type have been found in the River Thames. It would have come off of the guard of a Milbank Prison guard. And the story of Milbank Prison is particularly fascinating. It was a very notorious penitentiary back in the 19th century. It opened in about 1821, and it was also a holding facility for criminals and convicts before they were transported over to Australia. It was built on the site which is now the Tate Britain, a very, very marshy site, so there was also a lot of disease there. It really wasn't a place where you would want to spend time. Now, I found my button in southeast London, and I was wondering, now why would a Milbank prison guard button be found in southeast London? But there are a few possible scenarios, one of which could be that a prison guard was transporting a prisoner from Milbank down to the Woolwich prison hulks, where he was awaiting his turn to be shipped out to Australia. Or it could be that at one point in about 1830 or 1840, I think it was, there was a lot of disease. There was a big outbreak of disease in Milbank, and so they had to send the prisoners elsewhere, and many of the male prisoners were sent down to the Woolwich hulks at this time. So it was certainly going to be a prison guard taking prisoners or a prisoner down to the Woolwich hulks when he lost his button over the side of the boat. At least that's my theory. Anyway, what do you think? Now, number 5 is actually 4 finds. It's going to be 4 of my favourite pipes. So I'm just out for a wonderful walk along the Thames Estuary, and I was walking along and I spotted this in the distance, sitting here on the sand, just sitting here waiting to be stepped on. And I have never found a pipe as long as this. This is quite something else. That is just the best find of the day, everybody. Expect to be hearing more about that. Just found this beautiful pipe in the Thames mud, but if you give it a closer look, it's got a horse head on it. At least I think it's a horse. It's rather special. Okay, well, it's turned into pipe bonanza time, and I have just seen the most beautiful clay pipe bowl. Again, it's a little piece of art. Now look at this. Look at that. It looks like a variation on the claw design. And there's a little claw curling up there, clutching the bowl. Oh, that is absolutely stunning. Stunning, stunning. Oh, hang on a minute. No, I've got it I've got it completely wrong. Oh my goodness. Did you see this before I did? It's not a claw. It's a lady, her skirt, and there's her head, and she's bending down. Oh my gosh, just when you think that they can't get any more inventive. So there she is from behind. She's bending down. There's her little bun. There's her skirt. And she's looking down, and there she is. Oh, I am just utterly made up with this. This has just got to be one of the best pipe bowls I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. That is find of the day, and I'm absolutely... I'm speechless. Look at it, it's beautiful. So there she is. I thought it was a claw. Oh, that is just something else. That's what I call magical, just magical. Okay, I think I've seen a pipe. Well, no surprise there, but I think it's a different kind of pipe to what I usually find. I can see some stem there, look. Now this is possibly going to be a pipe that people used to keep a little longer and then have a replaceable stem coming out of there, and I can see the bowl here. I'm thinking that's what it is. Anyway, let's put it out and see. Yes, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh, I am so excited. Let's wash this off. I can see a little face, look, and a hat. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, let's wash this. And oh my goodness, look at this. It's a beautiful face. Well, you know, beautiful in the sense that it's a soldier with a hat on. Oh, that's just beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Look at it. So just a few of my favourite pipes there that I'm very, very happy to be able to share with you again. So now let's look at number 4. Look, it's quite a tease, isn't it? Because I can see some of an onion bottle here sticking out of the mud. You can see that beautiful kind of top of the bottle there, and a little bit of that. So I'm going to see how much is there. The rest of it is in there. It'd be amazing if the rest of it was there, actually. I could stick it together. Hey, well, guess what, everyone? Pretty much the rest of the bottle is there. So I've taken all the bits and I'm going to try and stick it together at home. This is going to be a really, really exciting project. If I can't find a whole bottle, I will get a broken one and stick it together. This is going to be really, really exciting. I think what makes this find so special is that it was broken when I found it, and I was able to find all the pieces and stick it back together again. And then you're left with this beautiful onion bottle which dates back to about 1690 that somebody would have had their wine or brandy in. And I'm sure that they would find it quite amusing to think that now such a disposable item of that time, an old glass bottle, is something that is so very precious. So now let's take a look at number 3. Now I have found quite a few padlocks over my time mudlarking, and it's always exciting when you take off the rust to see if there is the name of a company or a person underneath. And in this case there is the name G.E. Morrow, which stands for George Edward Morrow, who used to have a ship's chandlery in Limehouse in the late 19th century, and he lived there with his large family of about 12, although many of his children unfortunately did die very young. Now I went to Limehouse to take a look at where George Morrow and his family lived, and I visited St Anne's Church in Limehouse, which is where his children were all baptised. Now I found out also that 2 of his sons, Frank and Sidney, fought in World War I. Now Frank, who was the older of the 2 brothers, also fought in World War II, but unfortunately Sidney Morrow, who was the younger of the 2, died 2 months before the end of World War I. And I was able to find his name on the memorial which is in St Anne's churchyard in Limehouse, the same place that he was baptised, and it was very special to take the padlock back there and go and find Sidney's name on that memorial. So now let's take a look at number 2. Hi, I just found a coin. It's really exciting. I think it's one of my oldest ones. I have no idea what it is, so if anybody can help ID it, that would be great. So it's like that on that side, and like that on that side. Now I found many coins on the River Thames foreshore, but none is quite as special as my Queen Elizabeth I silver £0.5 dated 1601, and it has been registered with the Museum of London on their Portable Antiquities Scheme database. It was particularly special, I think, for several reasons, but one of which I'd actually stopped searching that afternoon. I wasn't looking anymore, I'd put my trowel away. I was just standing looking out over the river thinking about life in general when I looked down, and in between my boots was a round shape, which turned out to be my Queen Elizabeth I £0.5. It's also special because Greenwich is the place where Queen Elizabeth I was born, and it's also where her favourite palace was, and I sometimes wonder, was it after one of her very drunken parties at the palace that somebody stumbled out and lost their wallet and lost that coin? But in any case, I'm glad they did, whoever lost it, because now I've found it. So now let's take a look at number 1. Now this little tag here is my number 1 Thames mudlarking find, and I think it always will be. I found it before I started to do YouTube videos, and it really is, for me, the essence of mudlarking. It's something that opened up a whole storybook, and even though it looks like a very nondescript, boring piece of metal, I remember the day I found it. It was a rainy afternoon after work, and on it there is a name engraved, F. Jury, 72 Woolwich Road, SE10, and I was able to find out, with the help of people on social media, that Frederick Jury of 72 Woolwich Road was born in 1873 and died in 1932, and he actually went to Australia at the age of about 42 to enlist in the Australian Imperial Force to fight in World War I. Now the Australian Imperial Force, they keep immaculate war records, so I was able to find out everything from when he went over to Australia to when he went over to the trenches to when he was badly injured by a grenade and a bomb, when he was discharged from the army, and then when he came back to spend time in hospital, and then finally went back to carry on living for the rest of his life in Woolwich Road. He married his landlady, who was called Sarah. She was 12 years older than him. They never had any children, and that's also what makes this special, because he didn't have anyone to tell his story. Now you would think that that's the end of the story, but I then went on to find where Frederick Jury was buried. It's in a cemetery, again, not too far from where I live, and I spent some time searching for it with no luck whatsoever until I asked the cemetery keeper if he could help me. And then this very helpful cemetery keeper unfurled a very, very old map and said, now he's buried in a pauper's grave, and that's why you can't find him. So he came with me, and together we searched the graveyard under all this grass and brambles. Well, there's a bit of wake going on behind me there. We searched the brambles until we found Frederick Jury's grave, and it was really special just to be there and think about his life. And it's just a very perfect example of how something you find in the River Thames can take you on a journey and open up a whole storybook. And it also goes to show that we all leave a story behind. And some of these stories can be found scattered along the Thames foreshore, and that's what keeps me going back. That's what I love about mudlarking. So that's 6 of my favourite finds. I shall do another 6 at some point, but I hope you enjoyed hearing about those. So I'm going to go off now, do a little bit of splashing around in the mud before the tide is completely in, collect some driftwood, hopefully see a few birds, and going to enjoy the rest of this afternoon. I hope you do too. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I really look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. Bye everyone.